Coming up on TekThing, hotel room searches and voting machine hacks. Things got weird at Defcon this year. The best HGTV picks of 2018. And yes, Google does track your every move, even if you say no. We're going to show you how to turn it off. All that and more coming up on TekThing. TekThing is brought to you by patrons like Darren J, Joe K, Jason, and Chad H. Without your support via patreon.com/TekThing, we wouldn't be able to make the show for you each and every week. Hey, if the show makes your tech easier and more secure, do us a favor. Head on over to patreon.com/TekThing and give a little something back.
I'm Shannon Morse.
And I'm Patrick Norton.
And this is TekThing, where we have something useful in every single show.
And today we have terrifying and disturbing things.
That's right, like Shannon losing her voice.
Actually,
I did lose my voice, it's true.
As disturbing as that might be, as terrifying as that might be, I think the most frightening thing at Defcon was the new security policies at the Vegas hotels that, to quote ArsTechnica, it's just, I love this. Caesar's Palace, not so Praetorian guards intimidate Defcon goers with searches. So basically, you remember mass shootings, October 2017 in Las Vegas, and the rules were kind of how we're going to make people more secure. So one of the things that's happening is a lot of hotels in Vegas, especially Caesars, have mandated, or I should say Caesars Entertainment, which owns a whole bunch of hotels in Las Vegas, room searches when staff has not had access to rooms for over 24 hours. So
this especially happens if you have a sign that says "Do Not Disturb" on your front door. They're still going to get in there just to check and make sure that you're not you don't have a bunch of guns in your room. So it kind of makes sense.
So if you're the kind of person who arrives in Vegas and puts the "Do Not Disturb" tag on your door handle, you might get a special visitor. Or they might walk in while you're in the shower, or as many DEF CON attendees discovered, rooting through your bags or touching personal effects, which they weren't supposed to be doing, but lots of things were moved, and we have heard rumors that some people actually have videotapes of security going into their rooms while they weren't there.
Yeah, I've seen that video. So here's the thing, nobody is against increased security in the wake of last year's mass shooting in Las Vegas, which was a horrible thing that happened, but this was not well organized or well executed, nor did anybody know that this was going to happen. And given the lack of controlled access to the elevators in most of the hotels in Vegas, I believe Aria is the only one that I have been to that has controlled access up to the elevators for hotel room guests.
There are a few others.
There are a few, but I mean, personally, I haven't stayed in them. It kind of gives criminals yet another tool to use to get inside the rooms of attendees. It's scary. It's very scary.
It's extremely scary. And it also, quite frankly, should be scary to the security people working for the casinos. Because if you ever hung out in Vegas, you might know that, concealed carry, which is carrying a weapon that people can't see, is incredibly common and done by many of the attendees. So imagine if you're the security person, and this is something that happened, case in point, Katie Masuris, she had hotel security banging on her door. She's trying to call down to verify that this is actually hotel security, because I hate to warn you, sometimes in Vegas, bad things happen. Actually, sometimes in every single town in North America. I mean, hey, you want to see people shooting heroin? Go to San Francisco, walk around downtown. You'll see it if you walk long enough. It's in any case, I digress. But, it's scary.
It is very scary.
It is.
And I should mention, just so we're clear, this isn't just about them rummaging through your bags, which honestly is a huge breach of privacy. But I know personally 3 different women, including Katie, who attended DEF CON, who were traveling alone and had men either come in or try to come into their rooms without any kind of verification process or proof that they were actually hotel security doing these things called wellness checks. One woman was in the midst of getting dressed and screamed at the guy, and he ran out. Katie was yelled at while trying to verify them over the phone with hotel staff, which props to her for at least trying to verify. And then another woman was taking a nap on Monday morning when she was awoken by the door banging against her security latch that she had set since she was in the room, as if somebody was trying to bust in. And when you are traveling alone, especially if you are a female, that is insanely scary for somebody to try to get into your room like that. I can't even imagine how they must us feel right now.
I'm a 5'10", 230-pound ex-rugby player. I am not a badass, but generally speaking, I am not a target most of the time. I have had people trying to get into my room at 3 in the morning in Vegas. In one case, somebody was drunk and very, very angry, and because I was much younger, I opened the door, and the guy freaked out, actually, in the whole, like, what are you doing in my room, and screaming. It's terrifying
that is so scary to think
have
about.
your room, you know what I mean?
Your hotel room should be a safe place, a secure place, not a place to be harassed by security or, God forbid, somebody dressed as security with bad intentions, because you just don't know. And since they don't have that proper process to verify themselves, we don't have a way to ensure that they are actually who they say they are.
I would also like to point out, if you are not familiar with the Constitution of the United States of America, Amendment 4, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, no warrants, etc., etc. This actually, it's been to the Supreme Court. You have a right to privacy in your hotel. They also have a right to keep their guests and the hotel safe, but I don't think this was well conceived or executed.
Yes,
so,
props.
If you happen to work in management in a hotel in Vegas, you might want to make this work better for everyone.
And if you would like recommendations from somebody who graduated in hospitality administration, I'm more than happy to chat with you.
Yeah.
So we did just get back from Defcon, and tons of news surfaced this year about big vulnerabilities and 0 days from that convention, as well as Black Hat, which also happened in Vegas just a few days before.
Just a few years
Just
ago.
a few years before. But first off...
Every day in Vegas seems like an eternity.
I know, right? It's so true. But first off, researchers at CryptoWire, which is a mobile security firm, they found out that millions of Android devices have flaws baked into the firmware that allow for potential exploits, such as someone listening to your microphone, taking screenshots, or locking your device. And affected devices include Asus, LG, Essential, and ZTE. Remember ZTE? They've been getting a lot of stuff lately because the government doesn't want government contractors to use ZTEs in America, and they would require a user to download an app with no additional permissions. So the phone manufacturers have already begun working on a fix, and according to Google, it is not a problem with Android, it's a problem with how the manufacturers implement changes to their code on the devices.
Wouldn't it be nice if we had an open source operating system that was actually unchanged and available to everyone on all the phones?
So moving on from there, researchers at Whitescope and QED Secure Solutions worked together with a pacemaker brand called Medtronic to fix some problems in their devices. But they also spoke in Vegas about ones that remain broken to this day. Now in these pacemakers, an attacker could control them remotely, then deliver unneeded shocks or withhold ones that actually were needed, which would end up being a life-threatening problem.
I'm not laughing because this is funny. I'm laughing because this is incredibly scary and uncomfortable. Just wanted to lay that out there.
So the researchers also brought up that a competitor has already implemented secure options in their own pacemakers and networks, so Medtronic could totally do this too, but they have currently refused to do something called code signing, which is when a code is cryptographically verified. So that means whenever the transfer is happening, the pacemaker is going off, it's being cryptographically verified that that information is supposed to be happening. And currently, why aren't they code signing? That just seems a little ridiculous to me.
I'm sure they have their reasons. I'm sure Mac OS X devices are perfectly secure.
Oh yes, let's talk about Mac. So in the case of Apple, an attacker could install malicious software on a laptop before it even gets in the hands of its user. So Apple offers enterprise solutions with their device enrollment program and mobile device management, which basically pre-configure devices at the manufacturer so that when it's delivered to a user, the setup is basically plug and play for enterprise networks and connections and enterprise apps that are already preset and installed. The problem is when the device sends out a ping to determine its correct enterprise account and download the right settings and apps, the certificate pinning that should happen correctly doesn't actually happen at all during the installation. And since the download doesn't get verified, malicious code could be installed, and it could also infect other enterprise devices at that company if they end up on the same network, which if you're working for a company, they probably will. The problem is fixed on macOS High Sierra 10.13.6, but you have to make sure that you are updating or have automatic updates set up so that you can actually receive that update. That's a little scary.
Well, fortunately, there aren't that many large corporations that use Mac anymore, so that helps.
I guess.
I don't know.
Moving on, a researcher at Trend Micro found that 24 vulnerabilities exist in Crestron devices. So those are the really big screens, the monitors that you often see at like airports and government buildings and sports stadiums and hotel rooms even. So they have these little touch panels which run on Android, and they could be turned into little eavesdropping devices by an attacker. So security is disabled by default on the devices. For some reason, they have disabled security, and 20,000 of them are open to the internet and found on Shodan. So the touch screens could be used to remotely turn on a webcam or even record audio too. I don't feel super comfortable having one of those touchscreens devices in my hotel rooms anymore.
On the flip side, you don't have to worry about, Alice or Bob or Charlie, whacking over the Crestron during the Super Bowl and putting obscene messages on it, right? Because that's really what everybody wants to do.
And lastly, flaws exist in Square, SumUp, iZettle, and PayPal mobile credit card readers, and those were publicized by Positive Technology researchers during the conventions in Vegas. They were able to control the devices using Bluetooth or mobile apps. Ask me why I'm always angry about Bluetooth. This is why. They could change the payment amounts and even gain full remote control. And they could even disable taking chip cards so that you would have to use the mag strip reader instead.
Oh.
And they could make a device pretend to decline transactions or change the value. So while you think that your card is getting declined every single time, charges are going through the whole time.
Love that.
So firmware could also be downgraded as well to a less secure version of these little mobile credit card readers. Luckily, all vendors are actively fixing the problems, and Square was the only one that said that they have a third-party one that they are currently dropping their contract with, and they're going to replace them with their own brand of them.
In other cheerful news, there was also a voting machine village, one of the big draws at Defcon this year.
So cool.
Actually, it was really, really cool, in which one team was able to crack a voting machine in under 15 minutes.
Amazing.
Actually, incredible. In one case, another case, a voting system that was a replica of the state of Florida's voting system. An 11-year-old was able to change election results on an invitation, basically the synthetic website they created in under 10 minutes.
And you know what's hilarious about this whole thing is while, according to reports, there's 70% of the machines that were in the hardware hacking village, the voting hacking village, are also currently being used for elections, the National Association of Secretaries of State said that DEFCON's work was unrealistic.
Now, to the Secretaries of State's credit, now, occasionally we see things that are really, really scary. Then you read the hack and you realize like you have to be in the room or have access to the machine or have control of the system. What the Secretaries of State are saying is that you generally don't give voting machines or give unrestricted access to voting machines during an election.
Right. Yeah.
However, I also look at voting machine manufacturers, which I think have a wonderful profit margin, and them saying that no one should look at our stuff. I get what their point is, because security through obscurity, which doesn't actually work.
Exactly.
So in many cases, vendors or representatives of the manufacturers were there at the voting village and were learning about vulnerabilities, and hopefully will go back to their organizations and patch those problems.
Yes, I think the best thing that comes out of the hardware hacking village is the fact that they were there and they were looking at it very seriously. So we got a really, really interesting responses and opinion pieces on what they thought after they saw all these different hacks happening.
You know, poll workers tend to be some extraordinary people who work incredibly hard to make democracy work.
So true.
It's always nice to know how you can help make their job easier and make the systems more secure. And if you don't believe that, I tend to question your motivation because I'm just that cynical.
Well, let us know if you have any questions about DEF CON. Both of us spent some time there over the weekend. It was crazy and it was awesome. And by the way, thank you to all of our patrons and everybody else who are fans of the show that decided to say hello to us. We truly, truly appreciate you saying hello. And so we can put faces to names, which I think is awesome. So thank you so much. And you can always ask us questions about DEF CON down below in the comments, or you can tweet me at Snubs or at Patrick Norton. We got an email from Chris. Hi, Chris. They ask, hey, Patrick, thought I would ping you for your Sage TV wisdom and advice. Any reason not to buy the LG 65C8 for $2,800? Anything on the market better than this at that price point? From Chris.
Oh, my goodness.
Woo! That's quite a bit of little credit card action happening right there.
Well, you know, okay, short answer, nope. Pretty much everybody that tests TV says the LG C8, this beautiful creature right here with a very strange base, is the end-all and be-all of 4K TVs, at least for this year. Flat out the best HDR performance, ridiculous blacks, excellent color. Spending a lot more probably won't get you a much better image. It might be a tad cheaper around Black Friday if you're price sensitive on your $2,800 purchase. That's an LG thing. They tend to have price drops around Thanksgiving. But for right now, $2,800 looks like an excellent price. That said, a fair number of viewers say it's not a huge leap in video quality over the $2,500 C7, although once you've spent the first $2,500, why not spend the next $300 and get all the processing, or even the 2017 models, because the OLEDs are really, really good. The 2018 models are all pretty much using the same glass. The C8 is slightly better uniformity and some video processing options that the less expensive models don't. And again, I'm going to point it out, in the words of CNET, an uglier stand than the 2017 models. People don't really like that stand. Oh. It's a little strange.
That stand.
I am very curious. See, Sony has not quite yet released their Master Series OLED, the A9F. That's probably going to run about $1,000 more expensive. And, you know, it may be a little bit better, but the reality is the C8 is probably the way to go. If you are thinking, what? $2,800? You are probably more in the range of this critter right here. This is TCL's, the 55 R617 and the 65 R617. This is probably the best 4K TV for anybody that wants to spend under $1,000. TCL 6 Series. You can't beat the image quality without spending a lot more, like twice as much, 3 times as much money. It looks gorgeous. It's got zone dimming, contrast control zones, what they call it. The 96 zones on the 55-inch TV, 120 zones on the 65-inch TV. Dolby Vision is built in, HDR10 is built in. The operating system is Roku, so it's actually going to run and get updates. The 55-inch version is $650, and the 65-inch version is going to run you a hair under $1,000.
Wow.
So if you're looking for a 4K HDR TV, now is a good time to buy, because pretty much all the models except for a few from Sony and elsewhere are out and available and in the market.
Pimp your show with Robert.
Oh, hi. My name is Patrick Norton. I co-host a show about home theater and audio with Robert Heron. It's called AV Excel. And if you were a big fan of HD Nation back in the day, you should check it out, avexcel.com.
And if you have a question about TVs or streaming boxes, I'm all about those streaming boxes. He's all about the TVs. Email ask@tekthing.com. You do stream.
I'm not just
That's
Blu-rays.
True. You got the Apple box.
No, I have an Apple,
a
Roku, an Android TV, a homebrew box.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, I have all the boxes.
That's awesome.
It pains me.
Cool. Well, ask@tekthing.com. That's where you can ask us, or you can tweet @TekThing.
Please do. We love your questions, your tips, and your suggestions of products and ideas to check out. Please tweet them out @TekThing, @Snubs, or @Patrick Norton, or just email ask@tekthing.com. And a big shout out to our patrons at patreon.com/TekThing. You pay the bills, you make the show possible. Our thanks to you. Join the crew that makes TekThing happen at patreon.com/TekThing. And hey, send us those emails, send us your tweets. We are listening. We want to hear what you want us to cover, because you guide the show. It's yours. Help us help you. Yes, in other creepy privacy news, Google tracks your movements, like it or not. That's the headline on the AP exclusive that revealed that Google actually tracks you even if you turn off location history. Or in their words, quote, many Google services on Android devices and iPhones store your location data even if you used a privacy setting that says it will prevent Google from doing so. They had a computer science prof from Princeton help them out, and he turned off location history on his device, and look, kids, they still were able to track all of his travel over several days across New Jersey and New York.
So this AP report includes that map built from data recorded in the Google account of that privacy researcher, despite location history being turned off. So as you can see, information is still being collected. And in case you have never dug down into that page, in theory, quote, the places
settings,
that you go are no longer stored. When you turn off location history for your Google account, it's off for all devices associated with that Google account.
Yay. So that's, in theory, right?
In theory.
You stop the tracking, but you don't. Now, you might be thinking, this doesn't affect me. Well, billions of Android users and any iPhone user that uses Google Maps or search is impacted.
Definitely affects me. So how do you turn it off?
So if you got iOS, you go into your Google account, you go into personal info and privacy. That's like a drop down on the upper right. You go to My Activity, go to the activity controls on the left side, and turn off web and web and app activity. Because
Okay.
web and app activity totally sounds like they're tracking where you go, right?
And then Android is the Google settings, so it's the little gear icon, and then you go into your Google account, then tap on data and personalization, and you will find the web and activity setting there, the web and app activity setting. You can also look up that information as well on their website. It's the google.com settings too. Now, if you are curious what it looks like when you have location history turned on, here's an example. So basically, anytime you turn it on, which is the default, you will see everything that you did in a given day. So for example, this was my trip to New Orleans several months ago, which I'm okay with showing you because it doesn't have any personal information on it except for where I stayed, woohoo. But it basically walks you through my entire day of what I did, where I stayed, when I left, how long it took me to get wherever I was going, which cemetery I went to, because that's big in New Orleans, City Park, every single step of the way. And then it shows you where I walked and when I walked and how long it took me to walk there. French Market, a tavern, you see when I started getting drunk, and then when I went on a vampire tour, I mean, yeah, that's a thing. It shows you
all there.
It shows you everything that you want to see. Now, luckily, if you want to, if we go back over to my computer, you can delete specific stops. So I could, for example, remove this stop from the day. Now, personally, I do like to leave these on because I like to be able to look back at the vacation information and say, oh, where was that cool place that I visited in New Orleans? Oh, right, it was, Boutique des Vampires or whatever it was. And then I can go back and favorite it on my maps or whatever it might be. But if you don't want that information saved, you can go in and very detailed analysis, at least. You could remove each stop from your day, or you can do detailed analysis of those and see which ones you do want to delete. But
or you could just turn off location history.
Or you can just turn
maps,
off location history.
And on your mobile devices, and then turn around and dig deeper if you want to make sure all of the tracking in all of the places is turned off.
Exactly.
I don't like being tracked.
It's a little creepy. Now, speaking on this, we did do a 30-day security challenge back last year, and most of that information is still very accurate, so you can go back on our playlist and check out that 30-day security challenge. And one of the days, I did walk through each and every setting with the Google location information, so you can kind of figure out how to do it with that tutorial as well.
It's a long list.
It is a long list. Have fun. It was one of the longer episodes I did, so that was fun. But if you have any questions about Google security and privacy, which there isn't any, then you can email us, ask@tekthing.com, or you can tweet me @snubs.
Not so random thought, if you have 2FA on your Gmail account, make sure you have backup codes with you somewhere.
Yep.
If you travel, so you can get to them if you lose or destroy your phone. You can pick up a cheap phone just about anywhere, and you can pick up a SIM card just about anywhere, but getting locked out of email is a wicked ripping pain in the ass.
I feel like this is a personal story.
This is a personal story. And I will also say, getting locked out of your email might actually make vacations better for a lot of folks. Because,
That's true.
Well, I know people who are like, well, I'm staying on top of my business communications while I'm on vacation.
Of course.
My family hates me for that.
Yes.
I actually took several years, but I figured out how to not answer work email on vacation. But actually, yes, my phone spent the weekend in TSA Lost and Found in Oakland while I was in Las Vegas. Ooh. And nothing says awesome like trying to keep up with 30 people moving in a group when you don't have access to your Signal account.
But props to Oakland TSA, which I never thought I would say, but they found your phone in the Lost and Found, and they retrieved it for you and got it back to you, which is great. It's
kind of trippy. There's an individual email address for basically every TSA office, and you send an email address, and they give you specific information to send them, and eventually, it took about 24, 36 hours, I got a reply.
Cool.
Their hours are limited, so try not to have your phone stay behind in security. Yeah. I still don't know how it got from in my boot to in Lost and Found. Because I'm a very methodical, like the boots come off and the contents of, because I can't go through with my titanium wedding ring, and they can't go through with cash, can't go through with phone. It all goes into my boot, and the top of the boot gets tucked down to help keep it in there. I'm confused.
Tangent aside.
Do you ever wonder, when your stuff kind of takes a walk?
Or I
do. The one time I had them take...
It's rare, because I'm extremely detailed on where I keep things.
In any case, this is how to sign in using backup codes and how to get them in your Google account. We'll put that link in the show notes because, as Shannon mentioned, I did digress. While I'm digressing, when's the last time you backed up your phone or your PC. Oh my goodness. We want to give a shout out to Hack5, ladies and gentlemen. This studio belongs to Hack5. Hack5.org is the host of some pretty fantastic security and privacy podcasts. It's hack5.org. Then head on over to hack5.org/gear, where you'll find the Wi-Fi Pineapple, which got a pretty snazzy enterprise plugin, or I should say, addition to the Pine AP, that allows you to, brace for it, suck WPA passwords
Oh, it's
out
so
of the
cool.
ether.
It's a great update.
Cool/terrifying.
Yeah, cool/terrifying. Excellent for teaching.
hack5.org/gear/Wi-Fi-pineapple. Go there, get yourself some pen testing on.
And remember, once in a while, put down your phone, step away from the screen, close your laptop, like I'm gonna do right now, and do something analog, like build a pair of headphones.
Okay, this is a shout out to my friends Jude and Nick from St. Louis, part of the crew at JDS Labs, so they built some pretty bomber headphone amps and DACs. They're also gamers, Jude and Nick, and they notice that most gaming headsets kind of suck, or at least the manufacturer spent more time on the anime-inspired space details and the bright, shiny LEDs so they can match your motherboard than the actual
That's so funny.
sound.
Yep.
So Nick literally flew to Shenzhen, China, found a pretty amazing 50mm magnesium driver, got his CAD cam on, and then Jude fired up the CNC mill on the 3D printer in Southern Illinois, and they carved out a pretty impressive headset out of aluminum.
Wow.
Now, I haven't heard the mic yet. The mic will plug in like right here or right over here should you
Cool.
want. But Vocals Erupt, that's the name of this critter I'm holding right here, sounds really impressive. As in, dudes, this sounds way better than you guys should have been able to build. They'll laugh, kind of, when they hear that. Huge soundstage, lovely detailed highs, and bass that goes down low and does a sick job on explosions in your favorite game. The measurements off an audio precision audio analyzer look very, very good. This is pretty impressive because most companies that build headphones do a pretty mediocre job of them.
Yes.
And they made this in a CNC mill. Touch it.
That is so cool.
They are incredible. I will ask you, were they comfortable?
They were very comfortable. I really like this. Was it memory foam?
I don't, it doesn't seem to be.
It's just really nice.
It's nice. It's ventilated.
It was
which
nice and
helps keep your
comfy
ears.
on my ears, even though I wear glasses, and it also felt like it fit me really well because it has that nice band at the top, and it was clear, like crystal clear on the music.
They did a really good job on these. Very comfortable on long listening sessions. Not as laid back on the high end as my Nighthawks, but hey, most folks like more treble than the Nighthawks pack. I hope the mic is half as good as the phones. You'll probably want a good headphone amp or an audio card to drive them if you're into very loud volumes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am totally biased, but my friends made some headphones and I'm really proud of them. And I'm a bit of a when it comes to audio gear sounding good, so if it sucked, they wouldn't be here right now. Just saying. Vocal.io, that's VOKYL.io. Don't laugh, you try finding a URL in 2018. We'll be doing an Indiegogo later this year. If you want to learn more, like what the price will be and all that good stuff, VOKYL.io. And get on their email list when it launches.
That sounds awesome.
They're so shiny.
They are super shiny.
These
I
were
love
bricks
them.
of aluminum, and now they are headphones.
They should be proud of themselves.
And they
did
3D
a very
printed
good
the
job.
holders for the drivers. It's just so cool.
I like the paint flex.
There's orange and blue on this one.
Yeah, it's cool.
I don't know if these colors are final.
Anyway,
I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Shannon Morris.
We'll see you next week on TekThing.
I think that they should come out with ones that have pink paint flecks on them.
Could probably be arranged.
I think that would be gorgeous. Maybe pink ones up here and purple ones at the top. That would be really cool.
You could do a rainbow fleck.
And then they would match my hair. Because I won't lie, the orange kind of clashes with the purple, but it's really cute anyway.
Goodness. I should point out they are open back.
Oh, yeah.
You will hear everything in the universe around you.
Yes,
So.
which is actually kind of nice in the office space, so people don't have to yell at me whenever I was wearing
Or
it.
sneak up on you.
Or they can't
Like
sneak
you were
up on
staying
me.
in a hotel in Las Vegas.
Too soon.
Probably entirely too soon. Oh, boy. Yeah, that was, sometimes you see things on Twitter and then they turn out to be true and you're like, WTF, question mark, question mark, question
Yeah.
mark.
Yeah. The video is pretty creepy,
Yeah.
seeing the people walking into the rooms. And there were pictures of people like looking out of their portholes and watching the security.